Continue. Hey, hello team, my name is Monique. Welcome back to the Cauldron, where we today are going to do my wrap up of November. In case you weren't aware, this is BookWitch, my channel where I review books and somehow read a lot. This is the wrap up for November. We are into December. I don't know where the month went, but somehow, even with trying to write 50,000 words, which I failed, I still read 12 books, so that's quite good. Let's see if I actually did my little TBR numbers and see whether or not I can buy a book. But I did buy a lot of those anyway, because I am terrible. Anyways, in case you didn't know, I have a TBR game called TBR Tombola. I will leave a link to the video list down below so you can check it out. And each month I draw 7 numbers, and each number have a prompt attached to it. I will then pick a book to fit that prompt, and if I read the book and the number is on my thing, I get to cross it out. Last month, which was my first month of wrap-ups, I only got 1 number. We shall now see if I get any more. This month, however, I have moved around some books, so some of the books that I picked originally were not the books that I actually read, but that's okay, let's just run with it. I also vaguely tried to do Believeathon. It didn't go very well. We're just gonna skim over it. But let's start. The first book that I read in November was Throne of Jade by Naomi Novik, which filled the prompt to continue a series, which is number 23. Throne of Jade is the second book in the Tamora series, or His Majesty's Dragon, which is a historical fantasy series written by Naomi Novik, where we are set during the Napoleon War, but we have dragons. And in the first book we meet Laurenston, who is a naval officer who sort of accidentally ends up saddled with this dragon who is just not a normal dragon. And in this world, the dragons are absolutely massive. They are used as sort of like war machines. And in this second book, we expand the world a little bit. I absolutely adored it. Ended up giving it 4 stars. Really am enjoying this series and very excited about continuing it. But let's see if I have number 23 on my little stack sheet thingy. I can't remember what I called this last time. No 23. Moving on. The next 2 books I read fit into my Believeathon TBR, and these are the 3rd and 4th book in the Circle Opens, which is a second quartet in the Emerald universe written by Tamora, who is my favorite author, in case you did not know. Both of these books follow central figures from the first quartet, which is called the Circle of Magic, and Circle of Magic follows 4 young children who are all sort of found to be having this wild magic, and they are then brought together to this university of a kind where magic is looked into and taught, and they become a family. And that is really badly explained, but that's what it is. It's found family trope, lots of magic. This is the second quartet, and I believe in the last Believeathon was when I read the first 6 books in the series, and now that we have passed the 2 first quartets means that I can go into the last one, which is some of my absolute favorites. I'm very excited about reading those. Next up, I continued the series that I had hoped that I was actually going to read in October, but I read The Dragon Republic by Kuang, which is the sequel to The Puppy War. The Puppy War is a very intense adult fantasy inspired by the Sino-Japanese wars and sort of takeovers, and one half of the book is a school setting and the other half of the book is a war setting, and The Dragon Republic continues that sort of war setting. In The Puppy War, we meet Rin, who is our main protagonist, who is a young orphan girl who somehow finagles her way into a place at Synigard, which is a advanced, very elite military academy. And it's just very fancy, and it's very, very, very good. I really enjoyed The Dragon Republic, but not quite as much as The Puppy War, so I ended up giving this 4 stars. Look at this fat, beautiful baby. Next up, I ended up reading The Scrapegracers by Abigail Clarke, which is a teenage coven queer magical realism book, which I absolutely adore and love with my whole heart. This is a solid 5 star. It came in as number 77 on my TBR as a new release because it came out last month. Cannot recommend this enough, and it also started off my very intense, somehow 5 star filled month of November. In it, we follow Sideways Pike, who is a young lesbian witch who gets paid to set up this prank at a Halloween party for 3 mean girls of her school, and suddenly they end up becoming friends and a coven, and they set out to fuck up boys who fuck with girls. And I love it so much. It's super gritty, it's so weird. I cannot wait for the second book, which is called The Scratch Daughters, and I need it right now. But let's see if 77 is on my little thingamabob. It's not. Moving on. Since the Scrapegracers just sort of snuck in there, I then continued and finally read The Burning Guard by Kuang, which is the last and final book in the Poppy War series. This came in at number 78, which is another new release on my TBR, and I actually believe... No, I'm lying. There is no 78 either. But I did read it, which meant that I actually read the whole series before the book came out. And I really, really enjoyed it. The ending is bittersweet and beautiful. I ended up giving it 4.5 stars. There was just a little bit something missing for me for these to be completely 5 stars, but I absolutely adore the series. Also adore these edges. I can't. I'm living for them. Next up, I read another arc, which I sort of snuck into my TBR, and I read These Violent Lights by Gong, which comes in at number 45 as an own voices book. This is a retelling of Romeo and Juliet, but set in Shanghai in the 1920s, and we have rival mobster gangs and a supernatural element, and I absolutely loved it. The writing is stunning. I gave it 4 stars, and I just yeah, really, really, really enjoyed that, and I highly recommend it. Like, but it's just yeah, I had a really good month. Let's see if we have 45. No 45. Moving on. Then I sort of did a little sneak off read, and I read My Kind of Town by Shelly Laurenston, which is a short story in her shifter universe, which is basically just a witch and a panthers shifter and sexy time. So I read that. I enjoyed it. Gave it 3.5 stars. Very short, very sweet. They're so sassy. I love them. Next up, I read 13 Treasures by Michelle Harrison, which came in as my chance card at number 47, which was to read a Booktube favourite. And because I was trying to do Believeathon, I read a Gavin from How to Train Your Gavin, who is the host of Believeathon's favourite. I didn't end up loving this as much. I ended up giving it 2.5, 3-ish stars. This is a magical realism middle grade. Follow Tanya, who can see fairies, and one day her mother just gets enough of these like accidents that she goes into and sends her away to her grandmother's house, where things are not as they seem and her secrets may not be the only ones that are there. I wasn't crazy about Tanya, and I wasn't crazy about the like setup of this book. I did like the fact that the fairies were more trickster than just sort of cutesy Tinkerbell fairies, but yeah, I enjoyed it, but I didn't love it. So let's see if number 47 is on my little thingamabob. Haha, haha, it is. Sneaking, we can cut that thing. Ha 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 ha. It's a number on the plate. Yay! Next up, I read a book for number 56, which was to read a book outside of my regular genre, and for that I read You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah Johnson, which is a very beautiful contemporary with sapphic content. In it we follow Liz, who has her future set on this very elite music academy, and then her scholarship falls through and she suddenly has to scramble for the money. But in her little village town that she lives in, prom is a very big deal, and if she becomes prom queen, she gets a sort of prize money which she could pay for her scholarship with. And it's adorable and wonderful, and I loved it, and it's queer as well, and I just enjoyed it so much, and I cannot wait to read more by Leah Johnson, even though contemporaries are not my thing. But it's just so cute. I ended up giving it 5 stars, and I'm just like, it's wholesome and wonderful, and I could live in this book and enjoy it immensely. But let's see if number 56 is on my number. It is! It's a second number on my list. Second number. Then I accidentally read The Witchlings Girl by Helena Coggan, which is an arc from NetGalley. The book is coming out on the 7th or something of January. I love this book so much. Helena Coggan wrote The Orphanage of the Gods, which is actually chilling right there. And it's just... she writes weird books, and The Witchlings Girl is no different. In it we follow a main character who, when she is very young, shows proof of having death magic, and so she becomes the Witchlings Girl, which means that she can no longer have any contact with her family. The Witchlings Girl is set in a fantasy world where in each village there is this Witchling's house, which is the doctor house, the healer house, the morgue, and also the way of taking the dead to the underworld. And this world is on the brink of war, and our young main protagonist is sort of just trying to live through it. This sounds like it could be a really epic sort of book, but it is actually very calm and very like introspective. We are seeing it first person perspective from our main character, and I love this book so much. It is also having some really beautiful bi rep. It is about love and survival and cowardice, and just so good. 5 stars all the way around. Please put it on your TBR, because it's just, I have heard no one else speak about it and I love it so much. And then last but not least, I read my sci-fi book, which comes in at number 36, and I read The Space Between Worlds by Micaiah Johnson, which is a stunning sci-fi, sapphic, wonderful book that I could just die for. And in it we follow Kara, who is dead in all of the multiverses except for 8, which means that she is sort of like a valuable commodity, because this world can send her into other worlds as long as she is dead in them. And suddenly she gets access to a new world that may or may not have something to do with her past, and it's just wonderful. It took some turns. I wasn't prepared. I love it. It's a solid 5-star from me. I literally wish I could go back and punch like past Monique in the shoulder and be like, just read this book already, because I actually had an arc of it, and it is just so good. I love it so much. So this is my stack of books. I ended up reading 12 books in November. I don't know how it happened. It came to around 4,700 pages, though I'm not entirely sure, because The Witchlings Girl doesn't have a page number on it yet, which is very annoying, and because it was an ebook, I just don't know. So I want you to think I read all of these plus 3. So many books in a very busy month. But my absolute favorite is a stuck between the space between worlds, The Witchling Girl and Scrapegracers, though I think Scrapegracers just sneak over it because it's just so weird. I absolutely loved it. This is another good month for me. Did a lot of reading, woohoo me, and I actually got 2 numbers on my bingo card, so yay me. So if you did enjoy this, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button at the same time so you don't miss out on any other videos from me. You can also click the little bell, which will give you a notification when I put up a new video, which is regularly. I'm sorry this is such a weird update, but you know, just rummaging along, and I hope you're having a great day. I'll see you really soon with another video. Bye. I read a lot, I'm not entirely sure how. Why is my voice like this?